To illustrate why I believe Alberto was the killer, let us first analyze Gilda's confession. In it, she claims that Harvey took up the murders when she quit, starting with the murder of Alberto. And we know that this statement is incorrect for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that Alberto is in fact alive. No less than 3 of the holiday murders after New Year's Eve are committed solely to protect the identity of Holiday. The death of Gunsmith on Mother's Day, the murder of the Gotham City coroner on Independence Day, which you see on the left, and the death of Carla Vitti on the Roman's birthday, August 2nd, which you see on the right. Each of these murders are directly tied to Alberto Falcone being alive and well, something Harvey would not have as a motive for killing, but Alberto would. He wouldn't want to be discovered. Also, we, the readers, along with Jim Gordon, witnessed the murder of Sal Maroni on Labor Day by Alberto, so it's pretty clear that Harvey didn't do the shooting there. Gilda states that she was Holiday until New Year's, and then Harvey took over. We know the latter half of that statement is untrue. So why accept the former? But if we must consider the possibility of Gilda actually committing these crimes, then let us look at the facts. When the evidence as it appears in the story is laid out clearly, there are many obvious reasons why Gilda could not have committed the murders that she planned. Returning the subject to the guns that she supposedly used in the killings for a moment, we are still left with the question of how it is that the guns used in the initial killings are identical to the ones used later. However, perhaps the bigger question would be how Gilda, a suburban housewife, had access to these firearms at all. Perhaps she could have gone out and purchased them on her own, but this concept simply raises more questions. How would she know where to go to buy these weapons? Where did she get the money to pay for these weapons? How was she able to get a gun when she was in the hospital on Thanksgiving and moving into a new home in a wheelchair on Christmas? All of those questions presuppose that the guns were purchased from an illegal dealer, but perhaps she did in fact buy them through legitimate methods in a gun shop. But that scenario creates more questions in regards to the paper trail such purchases would leave. The paper trail could be covered by the filing off of the serial numbers of the guns, as is in fact stated in the text that Holiday did from the beginning of the murders. However, Gilda could not have filed serial numbers off of a gun on Thanksgiving when her house blew up on Halloween, as you see on the left. Also, she is just moving into her house on Christmas Day, and then a further murder is committed that evening. How could she have filed the numbers off at that time? Then there are the methods of the murders themselves. Johnny Vitti, the first Holiday victim on Halloween, is killed in the bathtub of his own home, begging the question of how Gilda could possibly have gotten past the security sure to be found in a mob boss's home, let alone know where he is, where that home is located. By that same token, how could Gilda have known of the Irish gang's whereabouts on Thanksgiving when they were in a hideout, basically celebrating their release from prison? How could she have known how to find Milos outside of the Romans' penthouse at just the right moment on Christmas to commit the murder? Similarly, the methodology of each of the Holiday killings shows a measure of skill with a firearm that Gilda Dent is unlikely to have. Johnny Vitti is taken out with 2 shots to the head in the span of a matter of seconds. The 5 members of the Irish gang, you see on the left, are murdered before any of them can fire back at their killer, despite the fact that in panel 3 we see 2 of them drawing on the killer before the killer opens fire. So somehow Gilda shoots all 5 of these people before they manage to get a shot off at her. Milos, on the right side, is killed on Christmas with a gun sitting on the ground next to his hand. Somebody walks up with a gun and he just sits there and gets shot when it's Gilda Dent. She has most likely not had as much training and experience with guns as any of these mobsters, yet if we believe her confession, then she had the speed and accuracy to kill them all in an instant. Gilda Dent also states in her final confession that she got the idea for the Holiday killings from reading case files that Harvey had brought home. However, on an earlier occasion, Gilda reacted with surprise and alarm when she discovered that Harvey brought evidence home with him, directly contradicting her later statement in panel 6 there, I'm sorry, 4 there on the left. You can see her surprise there is that he brings evidence home all the time. In fact, Gilda is accusatory with Harvey about the possibility that he might be Holiday in this scene, not happy as she would be if she had committed the earlier crimes herself and wanted the Roman out of the way so they could be together. You just look at the look on her face there on the right. You know, she is sad and alarmed to discover that her husband has brought a gun home.